Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and we're here today with special guest Anthony Sparks. He is a special speaker, content creator, and certified life coach who has impacted thousands of people around the globe. As a speaker, he's presented at over 300 conferences, retreats, worship services, graduations, workshops, and seminars. As a content creator, he's written and published 4 books. Hashtag Better, 7 Keys to Living a Life of Progression, Not Perfection, Relation Tips, Confessions of a Dreamer, and Help, I'm Struggling with My Purpose. He's also the creator and host of the Crock Pod Conversations podcast. Anthony is a native of Birmingham, Alabama, and is a proud member of the A-Team with his wife Ashley and sons Adam 8 and Ashton 3. He's a man of faith, family, and fun who believes that his purpose is to help others live a life of purpose on purpose. All right, welcome to the show, Anthony.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. I look forward to this conversation.
All right. So my podcast and show is based on my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And this year, it seems we have had every situation hit us globally, locally. And so I'd love to start out, maybe if you have a story you could share with the audience of a time that you or yourself in your personal life or in your business hit a tough time and how you got back on track.
Wow. Well, I've got, I think, the perfect story. November 2017, as a matter of fact, almost exactly 3 years ago, I found myself suddenly unemployed because I got just bluntly blindsided by a firing. I was terminated from a job that I was doing, and by all accounts was doing well. Just office politics, some other things came up. I guess pissed off the right people on the wrong day, and next thing you know, I got called in at the end of the day, and I was out of a job, and out of a job. Had just bought a new home. My wife and I, we just welcomed our youngest son to the family. He was only a few months old, and I literally had no idea what I was going to do. And so, but fortunately, I had been for the last, that was 2017. And since about 2014, I had been building on the side my business. And so it was always a desire, was always a wish, a dream of mine to go full time with it. Didn't quite know how that would happen because I was always trying to make the smooth transition. Once the side job or side hustle income, I guess, exceeded the main job income, it was like, okay, yeah, it's obvious. Let me go ahead and do this. But I was kind of pushed out of the nest, so to speak, with that job situation. And so because I had been building on the side, it took me a couple of months, but I finally just said, you know what? Now might be the time to take this thing full time and see what we can do with it. And 3 years later, here we are. The rest is history, as they say.
Wow. That is something that's happened to a lot of us this year, is that we have been pushed out of our comfort zone. So if you're listening in, it is never too early or too late to start that side business.
That's right.
You never know when we're going to need it. And it is very helpful to have multiple streams of income, if at all possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Totally agree.
So I'd love to hear more about what you're speaking about on your speaking tours and maybe some of your books.
Sure. Yeah. Speaking, it's an absolute passion of mine. I've been doing it now for solidly for about 10 to 15 years. And like I said, it's just I've loved it from day one, and didn't quite know that I'd be able to make it a career and actually generate income and a livelihood from it. But thank God I have. But whether it's conferences, seminars, workshops, etc., I touch on a myriad of topics. I do a lot of corporate events. Like I help with leadership development. I do a lot of personal development work as well. Just really helping people kind of figure out work-life balance,
Mhm.
helping leaders hone their skills, hone their those leadership soft skills that really, really, really help them become more in tune and attuned to who they lead, which is always crucial. And then also I help with millennial engagement, do that as well. And then outside of the corporate arena, I do a lot of, I guess, inspirational slash motivational events, whether it be graduations, worship services, retreats, just things to kind of just get the crowd going, get people feeling like they can achieve and they can finally kind of step off the porch, step out of the boat, and walk on water and do what it is that they've been dreaming to do. And so, just a myriad of things that I hit, depending on the event, the occasion, and the crowd. When it comes to the books, like you said, I've written and published three physically, and then I also released an ebook earlier this summer, and all of those touch on a wide variety of topics. My first one, hashtag Better, was really written at a time when perfectionism was at an all-time high. People were so gung ho on being perfectionist, and I just kind of came to the conclusion that, you know what, I'm never going to be perfect. And so thinking that I can be or I will be, not only is that arrogant, but also if that is possible, then if I can become perfect in an area, what is that? Technically, that says I have nowhere else to grow from there. And so I wrote that book to just say, let's stop focusing on perfection and focus on progression. Focus every day on doing small things to just simply get better day by day. And I think if we do that, then we'll achieve what I think is a quote unquote better life. I wrote relation tips, just as it sounds. It's
I love that.
relationship tips or advice and wisdom for those who are who have their heart to consider, who are either in love or looking for love. I wrote that book for them. And then my third book was Confessions of a Dreamer. Again, talking to you about that experience I went through with my job in 2017. Confessions of a Dreamer. It's funny because it came out right before, the month before I actually got terminated.
Mhm.
And I had no idea, of course. And the book came out, and it kind of was front and center because here I am talking about how to overcome obstacles as you're still dreaming and trying to pursue that dream. And lo and behold, I was faced with my own. And so I wrote that book to help others kind of navigate the dreamscape. And then my last one, Help, I'm Struggling with My Purpose, was just kind of written for that purpose, to help people understand what their purpose is, how to achieve it, how to operate in it, how to get unstuck in it if you have identified it, and what you can do to, as you said, generate an extra stream of income from it. So that's the books, that's the speaking, all kind of in a nutshell.
Oh, that's and what I have found is that sometimes when we hit a rock bottom, it is the best place to rebuild our life on our terms.
That's right.
So for me, same thing as you, 2017 was a really rough year. You got fired. I had a fire that I lost my home, my car,
Wow.
and my cat all in a week. And
Wow.
and that was the beginning of me writing the book because I got back on track within a month and I went from living in a home in Ventura to get invited to work and live in Beverly Hills, which was
Wow.
kind of cool because I never even fathomed I'd be able to go live in Beverly Hills. So I was like,
Right. Right.
oh, the universe, God sent me somewhere even better. And
Yeah. That's right.
I had to be willing to do the work. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's people that feel so alone and they need resources and help to get back on track. So I created a system. I also have lots of resources. And then the other thing I wanted to share with the audience listening in, I don't know, this year more than ever, people need resources they never thought they'd ever need. And
Absolutely.
so there is the 211. I don't know if you've heard of it. Have you heard of
Yeah.
211?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're one of the few. So it's about 60% do not know anything about 211. They've never had to use it.
Yeah.
And this year it's time to use that. So
Right.
it's 211 and you put in your state or province. It's in the United States and in Canada. And you're able to find resources depending on where you live, mental health services, getting food on the table, help with rental assistance, actual help with getting a new job if you need that. And so this is really important to share for people that are, get the books, get the resources, but also you might need something immediately. And even if you don't need it, keep that 211 in mind for a friend or loved one. Maybe if you work somewhere, see if you can post that information on the wall. People don't want to talk about what's going on at home, but
Yeah,
sometimes there's a lot going on, especially this year.
absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Great information. Yep.
So I would love to learn more about what advice you would give to the listeners who are now struggling with the work-life balance, trying to find a new purpose through this interesting year.
Uh wow, that's a great question. And there are so many different places I can go with that. But I think the biggest thing I would say is don't put too much pressure on yourself. Um, right now, we're in this time where, and I actually done an episode on my podcast a few weeks ago where I think that was just the name of it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, because we're in this time where the pandemic hit, and I think immediately there was shock, but then as we kind of got settled into it, there was this belief that, oh my gosh, we're going to be able to accomplish so many things that we put on the back burner. We're going to write that book, we're going to start that business, we're going to get this second and third and fourth stream of income going, and so I think there was just this huge rally around, we can now move these back things to the forefront and really make some things happen. But I think what we forgot, or what we tend to forget, is that for a lot of us, we find our inspiration, our creativity, our connection in interacting with the landscape, with other people, with the community and environments around us. And so as we become more siloed and quote unquote quarantined, we miss some of those creative drivers. And so what ends up happening is what you thought was going to happen, which was just going to be copious amounts of productivity, you realize you've probably done about 5 or 10% of what you thought you would be able to do. And then when that happens, you begin to feel bad. You start to feel like you're a failure. You start to feel like you don't quite measure up and muster up to what everybody else is doing. Well, let me tell you all a secret. Everybody out here is struggling. All right. Period. Whether you're the most successful or the least, everybody is juggling something right now that's really, really kind of got them on their heels. And so whether or not they want to admit it, that's a whole nother issue. But the fact is, all of us are struggling with something. For the person who has all the money in the world, maybe what I'm enjoying time with my family, but the person who has all the money in the world may be like, you know what, I'm having too much family time. I don't like that. And so you just never know. But the fact is, I just want all of us, hopefully, if you're listening to this, I just want to tell you, don't put so much pressure on yourself. This is a crazy situation, a crazy time. And in order to navigate it, we need to be as healthy mentally and whole as we can be. And one way to do that is give yourself some grace, some patience, and just allow yourself to be present in the moment. And if you achieve whatever, great. If you don't, it does not mean you're a failure. This is a crazy time. And so just try to give yourself some grace and patience as we navigate this thing together.
Very good. I could think of one thing that I was really productive on is Netflix watching. I think I might have reached a world record. I didn't even have TV for 20 years. My daughter brought a TV, and the next thing you know, we're watching all these things we've never seen, shows and movies for years. And so we made up for lost time that way. And the other thing I always say, I learned to say, was I love my wildly imperfect, beautiful, authentic life.
Yeah.
Something about the perfection. If you wait until you're perfect, you're not going to be able to serve other people that need to hear your message or whatever you do, your talents and your truth. Just be your best self today and know tomorrow we're going to get better.
That's it. Well said. Well said.
So let's see. Now you also help with leadership. And one of the things we're dealing with right now, I think globally, especially since we may be going back on some lockdowns, depending on where you live.
Yeah.
It is leading your home and leading your business at the same time. Or maybe you have a side business and you work for somebody else, and now you've got the kids home or elders are home because the facility was closed, which is
Right.
happening as well.
Yep.
So what suggestions do you have for people that are now the leader of everything?
Wow. That once again, that's one that's very loaded, very robust. Um, I kind of want to let me tackle it in two ways. First off, for those who are leading, who are leaders at work, and they now find themselves in this crazy period of limbo, whatever you want to call it. I think it's important. One thing that COVID has done, I think, is it's been kind of a proofing stage, or a proving ground for leaders, because look, I think it's tested the efficacy of our leadership, whether you're leading in person, whether you have remote staff and in-person staff, whether you're open fully, open partially, not at all. The fact is, COVID has really been a time for many leaders to realize whether or not what they're doing is actually leading or managing. And I
Mhm.
think the difference is leadership is focused on people, management is focused on product or process. Both are important, but right now, I think it's wholly important to focus more on the leadership aspect than the management aspect, because right now, people need to know that those they work for care.
Mhm.
They need to know that they're cared for, that they need to know that they're not just expected to carry on like drones or robotic producers. They need to know that those they report to, of course, still hold them accountable, but also care about their well-being and their mental health in this particular time that we're in. So that's first off for those who are leading at the office. For those who are leading at home, once again, I kind of go back to that word, or what I said a few minutes ago about not putting too much pressure on yourself. Um, you got to exercise a level of patience. You got to give yourself grace, give your household grace, because we have never experienced this before, and so it's different for everybody. It's difficult for everybody, and so I think the best way, though, to effectively lead is to share responsibility. um I would consider myself the leader of my home, but I'm the co-leader. my,
Yeah.
my wife is just as capable as I am, and she has just as much expectation as I do. And so I think it's a sad day or a sad household when the health of the household rises and falls on one person.
Mhm.
That's too much pressure. That's too much pressure. It's unsustainable. And so right now in this time, if you are a leader of your home, find a way to share some of the burden. Let somebody else shoulder some of the burden instead of you doing every single thing. Allow people to step up and help out. All right, because if not, it's going to create resentment. It's going to create tension, strife unnecessarily. And once we do get out of this period, I think that irreparable damage will have been done simply because everything was rising and falling on one person. So share the burden if you're a leader at home, and if you're a leader at work. Um, do your best to show your people that you lead, that you care about them, not just what they can do.
Yes, so true. And if you're a mom and dad out there, you may not have the other person. And in that situation, have conversations with your children,
Yes,
whoever's home, if it's elders you're caring for, and have the conversation. I mean, maybe you have to have the conversation with the puppy, and that one won't work. But whoever's home with you, have the conversation
right.
and talk about the priorities and
That's
what's
right.
going to keep the house going. And maybe if you're also working and you have to juggle things, it's going to have to be agreed upon that it's not going to be perfect. And
Right.
you're going to have to decide what's the most important. It's like that 80-20 principle,
Yep.
and just do your best. In fact, how many people are visiting your house anyway? So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's coming over anyway. It's a
That's
pandemic.
right.
And if they don't love you, they don't get to go into your house That's at least that's my rule. So you prioritize, and it's funny how when you talk, I have 6 children, 3 are mine, 3 I fostered to adopt, they're all mine.
Wow.
And so we've had these conversations. I have 2 home that are now doing college at home because the university closed. And
Yeah.
they're back home for the first time in quite a few years. And we had a lot of talks about how are we going to do this now that we've got extra people, and then they wanted a puppy and a cat. So now I've got cat, dog, and kids.
Goodness.
Wait, I was alone, and I love it. As mom, I love it, but there is extra work involved in all that. And
Absolutely.
so it is important. And if you have somebody you can trade with, that's also another way. I know that, like for us, we have a nice little neighborhood, and so we buy farm fresh vegetables and supplies. And if you
Yeah.
buy it in bulk, you get a huge discount. It's all organic,
Yeah.
healthy, and we split it between all the neighbors and we order together. And
Hmm.
every like month we get a shipment of all that. and
Wow.
and it helps out. And so
That's
it's
right.
like those little things that make a big difference. Can you go shopping if your neighbor can't? I mean, right now we have delivery, grocery delivery, but in some places you can't get that.
Yeah.
So see what you can do to see if you can help a neighbor, and maybe they can help out with taking your trash out or doing something else because you're working long hours and you're not home and you're exhausted. See what you can trade.
For
That'll make
sure.
a big difference.
For
Yes.
sure. Great advice.
Yeah. So I'd love to maybe have you share something from one of your favorite of all those books. I know I liked the relation tips, so maybe that one, but or maybe whichever one's your favorite. A couple of tips for the audience from one of your
Wow.
favorite books.
Yeah, that's it's funny. Whenever somebody refers to, what's my favorite, or ask me what's my favorite, I immediately say that's like asking me which of my children I love the most.
Yes.
It's super difficult. There's no such thing as loving one more than the other. But I will say that I think relation tips, just because it's just something about love that I mean, we need it. We are communal beings, and so relationships are vital. And so I think I tend to get the most questions about relation tips. So I'd for sure be more than happy to share a tip or two out of there. One of the tips, one of my favorite tips that I share in the book, is talking about how so many people make the mistake when they're single, or even when they finally do find somebody, but they make the mistake of feeling as if this person should or will complete them, and that's just not true. I always say, instead of looking for someone to complete you, look for someone to complement you. Compliment with an E, not
Mhm.
an I. And the example I use is peanut butter and jelly. So if you think about it, peanut butter by itself is usable. It's good. You can put it on crackers, on an apple, on bread, whatever the case is. Jelly by itself, it's great. It's useful. You can put it on toast. You can put it on a biscuit. You can do, multiple things with it. When you bring them together, it's magic,
Yeah.
right? Peanut butter and jelly is almost unparalleled. And so that's what it's like to bring your peanut butter and their jelly together. You make magic. But here's the thing: if the two never met, peanut butter is still great, jelly is still great.
Mhm.
And when they find each other, all it does is exponentially increases what it does, or the flavor, so to speak. But if peanut butter never found jelly, it wouldn't be incomplete. If
Yeah.
jelly never found peanut butter, it wouldn't be incomplete. And so that's the thing when it comes to finding someone or giving our heart to someone. We need to make sure that we understand, first off, we're already complete as we are. Period. Period. If somebody else comes along, all that means is all they're doing is enhancing our flavor, because
Yeah.
we already taste wonderful on our own. But
Yeah.
now when we add somebody else to the mix, we are a dynamic duo. We're magic, whatever you want to call it. But if you never find that significant other, if you never find that soulmate, or if you never find that person, you're not incomplete. You're not
Exactly.
incomplete. You are fully complete as you are. And all somebody else can do is come along and enhance your greatness.
Mhm. I think that one of the things that I hear a lot from people regarding relationships is they want to find someone to, like you said, complete them or bring them happiness.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to make anybody happy 24 hours a day. That is not
Impossible.
the job that I want to sign up for. So that
Impossible.
is not very attractive. I mean, it's
Not at
impossible.
all.
And so you think about when you're able to be happy now, when you're able to have gratitude for the present moment and be your best self, like you said, peanut butter or jelly, it's like, who are you being and all you're doing? When you show up as you, not somebody else, like take the mask off of who you're pretending to be. When you go on a date and you're like, yes, yes, oh yeah, I love hiking.
Yeah.
And jumping out of planes, that's right. And the reality is that's something you'll never do.
Right.
That's not your person. So be
Yep.
really honest and authentic, because that's when you're going to attract the person that's going to most align with who you are. And then you complement each other and you're already happy. And that's what attracts them, is you're being you, your essence, your truth,
Yep.
and your happiness already. And they're like, wow, that I want more of that. I love spending time with that person. We have
Yeah.
fun. It's not
Right. Right.
I'm responsible for making them happy.
Right.
We just have more fun together.
Right. Yep. That's
Yes,
it. That's
yes,
it. That's the
that's
key.
it.
That's the key.
Very good. Yeah, I love that. So we are getting to the end of our conversation. We have just a couple more minutes. So I'd love for you to share about how you're working with corporations and leadership.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I mean, I love everything that I do. I do it out of passion, um, and purpose, and so I love it. Um, some of the best work that I really just kind of, I guess, get up for is the corporate work, because I'm able to go into a setting and an event, an organization, and just really come in as a neutral party, as an unbiased, I guess, contributor, and just really peel back layers and really get into the inner workings of an organization. See what the interpersonal relationships and dynamics are, and really, again, be able to come in and help, for those who may be kind of, I guess, for those organizations that are a little bit more fractured. I'm able to come in and, again, as an unbiased third party, come in and kind of start helping to mend some fences and put things back together again for them. And it can't be said that I'm here on behalf of one particular person or one particular faction, because I don't have a dog in the fight. I guess my purpose, or my dog in the fight, quote unquote, is seeing the organization be whole and be healthy, or the team be whole and be healthy. And so, love coming in and doing that. Whether it's specifically about team building, I've got a presentation I do, a workshop that I lead, titled "Your Piece is Important," talking about how, in the big scheme of the puzzle, every piece has to be, I guess, in its particular place in order for the puzzle to be complete. A 100-piece puzzle with 99 pieces is not complete, no matter how it looks. So I love doing that. I have another one that I do called "One Size Fits Some," as opposed to "One Size Fits All," because leadership has to be personal. Leadership is nuanced, and to think that you can paint everybody with a broad brush is a sign of laziness and ineffectiveness. And so I'm able to really tackle some hard-hitting issues there. So the work that I do with corporations and organizations, I'm no holds barred. I go in, and the way I kind of phrase it is, I give them medicine, but it's mixed with Sprite, where it's mixed with some kind of flavoring, so that, medicine by itself can be hard to take. And so I try to make it as palatable as possible, while not losing the effectiveness of it. So I love the work that I do with those corporations and organizations, and I look forward to doing a lot more moving forward.
Yes, I love that. So whether you're home with a team now or still going to work, I think this year more than ever, getting help with leadership is going to make all the difference. Because think about it, we spend probably more hours at work than at home, other than
Absolutely.
sleeping.
Absolutely. We do. I say that all the time. Yep.
We're doing everything else. When we get home, we got the home's work to do,
Right.
cleaning, whatever you got to do at home. Then you finally get to talk to your family, and then it's time to go to sleep.
Time to go to sleep. Yep. You're right.
So it's really important to have a good environment. It's going to enhance productivity. Your clients will feel it. makes all the difference. It really does. Yes. So I'd love for you to share how people can connect with you, get your books and programs.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you again for the opportunity. It's been a great conversation. I'm loving what you do. I love the book title, and I look forward to staying connected with you moving forward.
Yes.
But anybody can reach me. I'm very, very accessible. Website is www.anthony D as in David dsparks.com. AnthonyDsparks.com. And social media, the same thing, Anthony D. Sparks. And you can reach out to me via any of those mediums. You can get my books from the website. You can inquire about speaking or coaching or anything from the website as well. But again, I'm super accessible. I don't have tons of middlemen to get through to get to me. It's typically directly to me. I just love kind of, as they say, pressing the flesh and talking to people. So AnthonyDsparks.com is the best way.
All right. Thank you again for being a guest on the show. And for those listening in, stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right.